We're setting up. Okay. Golf posture, club across the shoulders. This one's easier to see from the side here. What we're going to do, if I'm trying to flatten my back and tilt my pelvis under, I'm coming that way. And you see a rounding of the low back. If I arch, I'm going that way. I'm trying to go back and forth between those two movements without the shoulders moving a lot, without my head moving a lot, without really coming out of that posture. Now, first question, can you do it each direction? Second question, is it efficient? With me, what I start to notice is that there's a little bit of shake and bake going on. We call shake and bake. So when I go, again, this might just be some lower back guarding for me, but as we start to go into that pelvic tilt where we're tucking the pelvis under, if your abdominals create a little bit of that shake, it's almost like your body doesn't know what's supposed to be happening. The back's tight, but you're trying to engage the abdominals, so you get a little bit of that shake, and we call it shake and bake. So if you can do it, great. If you can do it without that shake and bake and that kind of motor confusion, if you will, even better. All right, so that's the test. That's the pelvic tilt test. Again, rotation alone of the pelvis and the torso, phenomenal. Has to be there to have a good efficient swing, but if we can't tilt the pelvis, it's very challenging for us to transfer energy from our legs to our torso. If I set up in my golf posture with my 7-iron, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the club and I'm going to give it a hug across the shoulders. All right. Now, what I want to focus on, again, belt buckle down like a statue. I'm in my posture, so from the side, you can see I have my trunk flexed like I normally would, hips hinged, all right? And what I'm going to try to do, stay glued or stay like a statue, belt buckle down, and try to rotate the spine and the shoulders without the lower body moving. Make sure you're breathing here. Again, I'm also doing my best not to stand up and try to come out of that posture, right? I'm in golf posture. I'm staying in it. It's almost like the handle of the club starts to point down to the ground. Head of the club starts to point down to the ground. Now, for me, practice this, demonstrate it a lot. Unfortunately for me, it doesn't just carry over to scratch golf right away or anything. But the individual who really struggles with, true separation of their torso from their pelvis, they're going to look a little bit more like this as we go, right? And maybe at first they just don't understand what I'm asking them to do, so I kind of really hammer it. Maybe we even start to hold the hips down for them a little bit, and they really just struggle to rotate without the hips going with them, okay? So that's kind of that example of if you have a hard time separating your torso from your lower body, you're going to start to move everything in one piece. Now, there's a lot of issues or a lot of reasons why that happens, but we talked about them already, right? Some mobility through the back, some mobility through the hips, maybe some hip strength issues, maybe some core strength issues. But those are all things that hopefully we're working on already, where now it's just the motor control component. Can you or can't you do that appropriately, all right? I'm getting my golf posture, bringing the club back across the shoulders. Now I shouldn't see any movement of that club or the shoulders. And what I'm trying to do is rotate the pelvis side to side in my golf posture. So from the side, it's kind of looking, again, not a lot of movement through that club or the shoulders, hopefully. All right. But this is definitely that point in time where we see a lot of golfers. I demonstrate, I ask them, and it's kind of that puzzled look on their face, and then same thing, right? It's kind of hard for a lot of again, male amateurs especially, but a lot of the amateurs we work with to separate that pelvis from the torso. So that's what that test is going to look like if you really struggle with it. Again, I will even come up and embrace somebody's shoulders. I'll give them a big old bear hug and say, now go. And if they really struggle, even with me giving them help, it's a sign that they just don't have it down yet. They just don't have that pattern down yet. And it takes some work. Again, if they didn't work on things from week 1 through 4 or 2 through 4, that might be a reason why. They don't have the appropriate mobility, strength, stability. So asking them to do it and get their brain to figure it out is really, really challenging.